Mom, Dad's with some lady on the screen. She froze in the bustling mall aisle, her hand still clutching a shopping bag, as her twin sons pointed excitedly at the massive LED display overhead. While her heart shattered like the fragile vase she'd nearly dropped last anniversary, tonight was meant to be a simple outing, until a viral clip from a charity gala showed her millionaire CEO husband wrapped around his white assistant in a stolen embrace that screamed betrayal. Right there, in front of holiday shoppers and her innocent boys, what would you do if the world exposed your pain before you could process it? This isn't just a story of infidelity. It's about a devoted black mother's fierce reclaiming of power when truth crashes into her sanctuary. If you're tuning in, drop a comment below. Where are you listening from? And what's your guess on how she fights back? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for the latest videos like this, and share if you believe silence means safety, because by the end, you'll know it only invites the storm. Mom, Dad's with some lady on the screen. The words sliced through the cheerful din of the bustling Los Angeles mall like a knife through silk, freezing Fatima Okafor in her tracks. Her hand tightened around the shopping bag filled with new sneakers for her twin boys, the crinkle of plastic the only sound piercing her sudden paralysis. Above them, the massive LED display loomed like a judgmental eye, cycling through ads and promotions. But now it blared a viral clip that had already set the internet ablaze. A charity gala's kiss cam moment gone horribly wrong. There, in high-definition cruelty, was her husband, Ian Harrington, the millionaire CEO of Technova, their shared brainchild turned empire, locked in a passionate embrace with his white assistant, Brooke Sinclair. Not a fleeting peck, but a deep, lingering kiss that whispered of secrets long harbored, his arm possessively around her waist, her blonde waves cascading as she leaned in with a smile that screamed intimacy. The crowd in the video cheered, oblivious to the devastation unfolding in real time. But here in the mall, shoppers paused, whispering and pointing, their eyes darting between the screen and Fatima's stricken face. Fatima's heart plummeted, a cold wave crashing over her as the world tilted on its axis. At 37, she had woven a tapestry of fierce devotion, a life centered on her 8-year-old twins, Jamal and Jalen, whose wide brown eyes, mirrors of her own Nigerian heritage, now stared up at her with confusion and innocence. The boys, still buzzing from the arcade games they'd begged to play, tugged at her sleeves, their small hands insistent. "Mom, why is Dad kissing that white lady? Is it a movie?" Jalen asked, his voice a mix of excitement and bewilderment, while Jamal echoed, "Yeah, Mom, look, it's Dad on the big TV." The mall's festive lights twinkled mockingly around them, the scent of cinnamon pretzels and popcorn cloying in the air, turning her stomach. She forced a smile, the kind honed from years of shielding her sons from the chaos of their father's high-stakes world. But inside, her chest constricted like a vice. How could this be happening? Not in the privacy of a hidden text or a whispered rumor, but broadcast for all to see. Shoppers gawking, phones whipping out to capture her reaction, the viral beast feeding on her pain. She knelt, pulling the twins close, their curly heads, a blend of her dark coils and Ian's lighter waves, pressing against her shoulders. "Oh, sweeties, it's just a silly game from the event Daddy went to," she murmured, her voice steady despite the storm raging within. "Probably joking around. Let's get those ice creams I promised, okay?" But as she ushered them toward the food court, the clip looped in her mind. Ian's guilty flinch as he pulled away, Brooke's playful giggle, the announcer's chuckle over the speakers. "Looks like love is in the air tonight." Love. The word tasted like ash. 10 years of marriage, of building Technova from a cramped apartment, fueled by late-night coding sessions and shared dreams. She'd been his equal once, the brilliant coder who'd architected the company's core algorithms, the pitch woman who'd charmed investors with her sharp intellect and unyielding passion. But after the twins arrived, she'd stepped back, trading boardrooms for bedtime stories, believing in the life they were creating together. Ian's text earlier had seemed innocuous. Networking at the gala. Don't wait up. Now it reeked of deception. The boys chattered on about flavors. Chocolate for Jamal, vanilla for Jalen, but Fatima's thoughts spiraled into the abyss. Notifications buzzed relentlessly on her phone. Texts from friends, tags on social media, the cruel chorus of comments already flooding in. CEO's black wife must be devastated. Interracial drama alert. That assistant's been gunning for him. Each one a dagger, twisting deeper. She silenced the device, her fingers trembling, but the damage was done. The world knew before she did, turning her private heartbreak into a public spectacle. By the time they reached home, the cozy Culver City house that once felt like a sanctuary now echoed with unspoken questions. The twins, sensing her tension, grew quieter, their usual whirlwind energy subdued as they settled in front of cartoons. Fatima busied herself in the kitchen, plating leftovers, but her mind raced. How long had this been going on? Brooke, with her polished resumes and lingering glances at company events, had Fatima been blind or willfully ignorant, too wrapped up in motherhood to see the cracks? Alone in the dim light after tucking the boys in, kisses on foreheads, promises of tomorrow's adventures, she finally let the tears fall, hot and silent. Jamal's innocent query replayed, "Why that white lady?" It wasn't just betrayal, it was a fracture in the foundation she'd built, a reminder of the intersections she navigated as a black woman in a world quick to judge. Ian had chosen this. Public, brazen, in front of cameras and crowds. Fine, she'd choose what came next. Wiping her eyes, Fatima opened her laptop on the kitchen table, the screen's glow casting shadows across her determined face. Old files beckoned, contracts, prototypes, the digital relics of their shared beginnings. She wasn't just a devoted mother or a sideline wife. She was Fatima Okafor, co-founder of Technova, a force who'd coded empires and dreamed bigger than betrayal. The pain burned, raw and jagged, but beneath it flickered something fiercer. Purpose. Ian's kiss had exposed his lies, but it had also awakened her. In the quiet hum of the night, with the city lights twinkling outside like distant stars, Fatima scrolled deeper, her resolve hardening. She was ready to rise from the ashes of this shattering moment, not as a victim, but as the architect of her reclamation. The first rays of dawn sliced through the blinds like reluctant blades, casting elongated shadows across the cluttered kitchen where Fatima Okafor stood, her reflection in the window a ghost of the woman she'd been just hours before. The remnants of last night's abandoned dinner mocked her, a congealed sauce stain on the stove, a half-eaten plate forgotten on the counter. But her eyes, red-rimmed yet dry now, held a steely glint. Sleep had eluded her, a fleeting visitor chased away by the relentless replay of that mall LED screen. Ian's lips on Brooke's, the crowd's cheers echoing like thunder in her soul. But in the quiet pre-dawn hours, as Los Angeles stirred outside with the distant hum of early traffic and the faint chirp of awakening birds, something had shifted within her. Pain still clawed at her chest, raw and unrelenting, but beneath it burned a nascent fire, not the wild blaze of fury, but a controlled flame of purpose. Those old files she'd glimpsed on her laptop last night whispered truths she'd long buried. She was more than a devoted mother, more than the supportive wife who'd faded into the background. She was Fatima Okafor, co-founder, innovator, a force who'd once commanded rooms with her intellect. Ian's public betrayal had been a declaration of war. Hers would be waged in the shadows, strategic and unyielding. Upstairs, Jamal and Jalen slumbered peacefully, their small chests rising and falling in sync, oblivious to the storm that had upended their mother's world. They were her anchors, these twin miracles with their infectious laughter and endless curiosity, and protecting them fueled her resolve. She moved quietly, brewing coffee with mechanical precision, the rich aroma filling the air like a bittersweet reminder of normalcy. Her phone, silenced but insistent, vibrated on the counter, a barrage of notifications from the viral frenzy. Headlines screamed across her screen: Technova CEO's kiss cam scandal, cheating with white assistant? Friends texted condolences laced with outrage. Strangers piled on with speculation. Fatima swiped them away, her jaw set. She wouldn't crumble under the weight of public pity. No, she would rise above it, turning the spotlight's glare into a weapon of her own. The front door clicked open, and there he was, Ian Harrington, stumbling in like a man who'd aged a decade overnight. His expensive suit was rumpled, his eyes bloodshot and haunted. The charisma that had once drawn her in, now a cracked facade. He froze at the sight of her, the kitchen light casting harsh shadows on his face. "Fatima," he began, his voice low and rehearsed, laced with a desperation that rang hollow. "Let me explain. It was nothing. A stupid mistake. The gala, the crowd's energy, it got out of hand. Brooke and I, we're just colleagues. It meant nothing." The words hung in the air, each one tasting like bile on her tongue. Years of late nights excused as business, trips that stretched longer than promised, the subtle shifts in his affection. She saw them now for the lies they were. That kiss hadn't been a momentary lapse. It was the culmination of choices, deliberate and damning. Her gaze met his, cold and unyielding, piercing through the veil of his excuses. "Don't," she said, her voice even, laced with a quiet authority that surprised even her. "Not now. The boys are still asleep." Ian's shoulders sagged, but his eyes darted, searching for an opening, a crack in her armor. "I'll fix this, Fatima. We'll fix it together for Jamal and Jalen. Please." He reached out, his hand tentative, but she stepped back, her fingers curling tightly around her coffee mug as if it were a lifeline. The man before her, the one she'd loved with a depth that had reshaped her life, felt like a stranger now, a polished imposter in her home. As he retreated to the shower, the sound of running water, a distant roar, Fatima felt the fire within her ignite fully. She wouldn't scream or shatter dishes. That was too easy, too fleeting. No, this demanded precision, a chess master's patience. With purposeful strides, she slipped into the garage, the cool air heavy with the scent of dust and forgotten memories. Boxes stacked against the wall held the relics of their early days. Yellowed notebooks filled with scribbled algorithms, pitch decks stained with coffee rings, and there, buried beneath it all, the original contracts. Her signature, bold and confident, sat beside his on the founding documents of Technova. Ian had sidelined her after the twins' birth, relegating her to a token consultant role with a paycheck that barely acknowledged her contributions. But legally she retained power, voting rights, access to records. A spark leaped in her chest, not just rage but opportunity, a door cracking open to reclaim what was hers. Back in the kitchen, sunlight now flooding the space, she dove into the digital storm. Social media was a battlefield. Comments were savage and unfiltered. "Fatima deserves better. Justice for the queen. That white assistant's a climber. Heard she's done this before." Her brow furrowed as she delved deeper. Brooke Sinclair, polished, ambitious, always lingering too long at company events. A quick LinkedIn search revealed whispers from her past. Rumors of an affair at a previous startup, climbing the ladder through questionable means. Was Brooke a schemer or just another piece in Ian's manipulative game? Either way, Technova's gleaming facade hit a rotten core, with Ian at its heart. Her phone rang, pulling her from the abyss. Aisha, her college best friend, her voice a fierce lifeline. "Girl, are you holding up? The internet's exploding with this mess. That bastard—" "How could he?" Fatima glanced toward the hallway, ensuring Ian was out of earshot. "Barely," she admitted, her voice cracking for the first time. "He's here now, pretending it's all a misunderstanding. But Aisha, I'm done being the fool. I'm going back to Technova, not as his wife, but as the co-founder he tried to erase." Aisha's cheer cut through the line like sunlight. "Yes, that's my girl. Reclaim what's yours, but be careful. He's slick as oil." The call ended, leaving Fatima energized. She opened her email, fingers flying as she drafted a message to her lawyer friend Nia. "Can you review my rights as co-founder of Technova? Urgent." Her pulse quickened. This was no impulsive reaction, but the opening move in a calculated game. Jamal wandered in then, rubbing sleep from his eyes, his small frame a poignant reminder of what was at stake. "Mom, is Dad in trouble?" The question pierced her heart, innocent yet loaded. She knelt, pulling him into a hug, inhaling the familiar scent of his shampoo. "He made a mistake, baby, but we're going to be strong, I promise." As he nodded and scampered off for breakfast, her resolve deepened. This wasn't just for her. but for the family she'd guarded so fiercely. She turned back to her screen, saving damning screenshots. A blurry photo of Ian and Brooke at a bar months ago, captioned, "Not their first rodeo." The betrayal wasn't a singular moment. It was a pattern, woven through late client dinners and conferences she'd naively accepted. How had she been so blind? By midday, Ian emerged from the bedroom, his charm partially restored, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of panic. "Fatima, let's talk tonight. We can sort this out. For the kids." His voice was smooth, but she heard the undercurrent of fear. "Fine," she replied neutrally, not giving him the satisfaction of her turmoil. As he left for the office, daring to maintain the facade of normalcy, she began planning, arranging the twins' karate pickup to keep their routines intact, accessing old board minutes she still had credentials for. Ian had underestimated her, thinking she'd remain quiet, small, the devoted homemaker. He was wrong. Standing before the mirror, she studied her reflection, a fierce black woman, her dark curls framing a face etched with determination, the coder who'd built Technova's prototype in sleepless nights, no more fading into the background. The kiss cam had awakened a sleeping giant. On her notepad, she scrawled a single line. "He broke us in public. I'll rebuild in private." The game was on, and Fatima Okafor was ready to play. The relentless hum of Los Angeles traffic seeped through the half-open window like a distant symphony of chaos, mirroring the turmoil swirling in Fatima Okafor's mind as she sat rigidly at the kitchen table, her laptop's glow casting an ethereal blue hue across her determined features. The house stood eerily quiet, the twins at their after-school practice, but their innocent queries from the mall lingered like ghosts. Jamal's wide-eyed confusion, Jalen's tentative tug on her sleeve. "Why that white lady?" The words echoed, fueling her drive. Her inbox pinged, and there it was, an email from Nia, her lawyer friend, cutting through the haze. "Your co-founder status is ironclad. Voting rights, full access to records. Let's meet tomorrow to strategize." Power surged through her veins like electricity, a jolt that steadied her trembling hands. But it wasn't enough. Ian's betrayal ran deeper than a stolen kiss under glaring lights. It was a labyrinth of deceit, and she needed irrefutable proof to navigate it, to dismantle the empire he'd built on lies while she raised their sons. Her phone buzzed again, insistent as a swarm of bees, news alerts flooding in. LA CEO's kiss, cam scandal, rocks Technova, millionaire Harrington caught with white assistant. A grim smile tugged at her lips. The spotlight was hers now, a double-edged sword she could wield. But truth came first, raw and unfiltered. She dove into the digital underbelly, her fingers flying across the keys as she searched Brooke Sinclair Technova. Results trickled in, a shadowy gossip blog hinting at Brooke's checkered past. Whispers of an affair at her previous startup that had propelled her from intern to executive amid rumors of favoritism. Fatima's stomach knotted, a sickening twist that made her breath hitch. Was Brooke a calculated predator, clawing her way up, or merely another victim orbiting Ian's gravitational pull of power? Either way, Technova's polished exterior, the company she'd poured her soul into coding late into the night, masked a toxic undercurrent, a culture rotten at its core with Ian as the festering heart. Another notification pierced the silence. An anonymous email, subject line, "The truth about your husband." Her pulse thundered as she clicked open. "Check his expense reports. I worked at Technova. He's not who you think. Pressured me to quit after I rejected his late-night work sessions. Stay strong. Signed, Nova Shadow." The words seared into her brain, each syllable unraveling the web of deceit she'd been too trusting to see. This wasn't isolated. It was systemic, a pattern of manipulation, silencing voices. She forwarded it to Nia with a terse note. "Dig deeper, discreetly. I need everything." But emails and rumors weren't enough. Fatima craved concrete evidence, the kind that could shatter illusions and rebuild realities. She grabbed her keys, heart pounding, and drove to a dimly lit cafe in Venice Beach, where the salty ocean breeze mingled with the aroma of fresh espresso. There, waiting in a corner booth, was Ramirez, the private investigator Nia had recommended, a grizzled man with eyes like sharpened steel and a no-nonsense demeanor honed from years in the shadows. "Dirt on your husband?" he grunted, sipping black coffee as she slid into the seat opposite. "How deep we digging?" Fatima met his gaze unflinchingly, her voice low but laced with unyielding resolve. "All the way. Bank records, emails, travel logs, anything he's hiding. Affairs, pressures on others. It's not just me he's hurt." Ramirez nodded slowly, jotting notes on a worn pad. 3 days. I'll find what he's buried." She slid him a check, her hands steady despite the inner storm. The weight of Jamal's question, "Why that lady?" and Jalen's trusting eyes propelling her forward. This was for them, for the family she'd shielded, for the innocence Ian had jeopardized with his arrogance. 2 days blurred into a haze of feigned normalcy. School pickups, forced smiles at the twins' endless energy. But anticipation gnawed at her like a persistent itch. Then Ramirez called, "Parking lot downtown. Got what you need." She met him under the harsh glare of sodium lights, the city skyline a glittering backdrop to her unraveling world. He handed her a thick folder, his expression grim. "Your man's been busy. Secret bank account opened last year. Funds siphoned off the books. Hotel receipts from San Francisco, Vegas, New York City. Dates match his business trips." Fatima flipped through the pages, her fingers trembling now as the evidence leaped out. Lavish suites, champagne charges, all while she'd been home tucking the boys in. But the emails hit hardest, a chain with Brooke spanning 10 months. Ian's words leaped off the page. "You're my edge, Brooke. Keep this quiet and we'll go far." Another, more chilling, "Stay loyal to me and you'll lead this place someday." Rage blurred her vision, hot tears threatening as the double life crystallized. Promises of promotions for silence, a web of manipulation while she mothered alone. "Anything else?" she whispered, voice tight. Ramirez hesitated, then nodded. "That anonymous tip, traced it to Emily Kline, ex-employee. Left Technova 2 years back after Ian got too close. Implied her job depended on it. Signed an NDA for severance, but she's willing to talk if you push." Fatima's mind raced. The pattern was clear now. Ian hadn't just betrayed her, he'd weaponized his position, muting women to protect his throne. Technova, the dream they'd built together, was poisoned from the top. She thanked Ramirez, clutching the folder like a talisman as she drove home, the weight of it burning against her passenger seat. That night, after tucking the twins in, Jamal's soft, "Mom, are you mad at Dad?" piercing her like glass. Jalen's mumbled, "Good?" heavy with unspoken fears. She retreated to her sanctuary. Alone, she memorized every detail, dates aligning with his absences, words dripping with deceit. Weapons, all of them, forged in secrecy. She called Aisha, her voice steady now amid the fury. "I've got proof. He's been lying for years, hurting others too." Aisha's response crackled with righteous anger. "That's Snake. What's the plan?" "Technova," Fatima replied firmly. "I'm going back as the co-founder he tried to erase. Calling a board meeting." "Badass," Aisha said, fierce pride in her tone. "But he'll fight dirty." "Let him. I've got the truth." Hanging up, Fatima opened her email, drafting with defiant precision. "As co-founder, I request an emergency board meeting to discuss leadership accountability. Transparency starts now." She hit send, her pulse a drumbeat of rebellion. Ian had played his game in the public eye. Hers would be private, precise, devastating. In the enveloping silence, she felt it. A rebirth, the fire of her pre-motherhood self reigniting, fighting not just for her family, but for the woman she'd always been. The gleaming glass towers of Technova pierced the morning sky like shards of ambition. A monument to dreams Fatima Okafor had helped forge in the crucible of late-night innovation and unyielding grit. As the elevator ascended with a soft, mechanical whisper, her heart thundered like a war drum, each floor ticking by a reminder of the stakes. Clad in a sharp navy blazer that hugged her frame like armor, she clutched the folder from Ramirez, the damning arsenal of receipts, emails, and secrets that could topple an empire. This wasn't just a meeting. It was a reclamation, a strike at the heart of the man who'd betrayed her, under the glare of public lights. The doors slid open, and she stepped into the boardroom, the air thick with tension, the scent of polished wood and fresh coffee masking the undercurrent of unease. Heads turned, 8 suits in varying shades of gray, a mix of curiosity and discomfort etched on their faces. At the head of the long mahogany table sat Ian, his charm a strained veneer, his tie slightly askew as if the night's guilt had twisted it. His eyes met hers, a flicker of shock rippling through before he masked it with a nod. But Fatima saw the panic, the cracks in his facade. She took her seat with deliberate grace, her gaze sweeping the room. There was Marcus, the young investor she'd met at a company gala years ago, his subtle nod a spark of encouragement in the sterile space. The others shifted uncomfortably. Rita, a sharp-eyed veteran, Derek, Ian's loyal CFO, his scowl already forming. Fatima drew a breath, the weight of her twins' innocent faces flashing in her mind. Jamal's quiet trust, Jalen's playful energy. This was for them, for the life she'd built and the truths she'd uncover. As co-founder of Technova, she began, her voice resonant and unyielding, cutting through the murmurs like a blade. I've called this emergency meeting to address leadership accountability. Recent events demand transparency, and we can no longer ignore the shadows threatening our company's integrity. Ian's jaw tightened, his fingers drumming a nervous rhythm on the table. Fatima, he interjected smoothly, though his tone carried a warning edge. This isn't the place for personal matters. Let's keep it professional. Focus on the business. The room hushed, eyes darting between them. Fatima's smile was razor sharp, a weapon honed from nights of silent rage. Professional? Like your conduct at the gala? She didn't name the kiss cam outright, too crass for this arena. But the implication landed like a grenade, murmurs rippling through the board. Without pause, she opened the folder, sliding copies of documents across the polished surface. Expense reports riddled with unexplained hotel bookings in San Francisco, Vegas, Miami. Logs of a secret bank account none had known about. Snippets of emails hinting at deeper rot. These are just the surface, she continued, her words measured yet charged with quiet fury. Unaccounted funds, questionable travel patterns that erode the values Technova claims to champion. I propose an immediate internal audit to ensure our leadership upholds the trust of our employees and investors. The board members exchanged uneasy glances, flipping through the pages with furrowed brows. Ian paled, his drumming fingers stilling as he leaned forward, his voice a practiced calm laced with desperation. This is a misunderstanding. Standard business expenses, nothing more. Fatima, you're letting emotions blow this out of proportion. But his eyes betrayed him, darting to Derek for support. The CFO scoffed, his loyalty a shield. Exactly. This is a witch hunt. Ian's led us to record growth. A viral video shouldn't cloud our judgment. Rita, however, leaned in, her sharp eyes narrowing on the documents. Fatima's right. The media is circling like vultures. We can't afford to ignore this. An audit could clear the air. The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of her words sinking in like lead. Fatima held her ground, her pulse spiking, but her exterior unflinching. It's not about a video, she countered, her tone calm yet laced with steel. It's about trust. I've received reports of a toxic culture, employees pressured, voices silenced. An audit isn't punishment, it's protection for the company we all built. The debate ignited then, voices overlapping in a crescendo of tension. Supporters of Ian defending his track record, others swayed by the evidence's stark clarity. Marcus spoke up, his voice steady and admiring. Fatima's evidence raises valid concerns. Transparency is our best defense. Let's vote. The narrow approval came like a thunderclap, the ayes edging out the nays. Ian's glare burned into her, a volatile mix of shock and fury, but Fatima met it without flinching, her chin lifted in quiet defiance. As the meeting adjourned, the room emptied in a shuffle of papers and murmured conversations, leaving her with a surge of grim satisfaction. This was her first true strike, the boardroom her battlefield. Outside, the LA skyline shimmered indifferently under the sun, a vast canvas of possibility and peril. Fatima drove home, the folder still heavy in her bag, thoughts swirling around the twins' karate practice and the life she'd anchored amid Ian's absences. Marcus approached her in the hallway before she left, his smile warm, eyes crinkling with genuine respect. "That was bold, Fatima. You've got real guts." For a moment, a flicker of connection sparked, something beyond professional courtesy, but she pushed it aside, keeping her tone even. "Thanks, but I'm just getting started." He nodded, stepping back, leaving her with a warmth she hadn't anticipated. Home felt like a refuge and a reminder, the cozy space echoing with the boys' absence until their return. Jamal bounded in first, homework scattered on the couch but untouched, his small voice cutting through her reverie. "Mom, kids at school saw the video. They're talking about Dad." Her heart sank like a stone, but she sat beside him, pulling him close. "I know it's hard, buddy, but we're a team. You, Jalen, and me. We'll get through this together." The protective surge washed over her, steeling her for the evening ahead. As twilight painted the city in hues of orange and purple, Fatima met Aisha for tacos at a bustling spot in Venice. The sizzle of grills and chatter, a temporary balm. Over steaming plates, she recounted the boardroom victory. The audit's happening. They approved it narrowly. Aisha raised her glass, eyes fierce with pride. "That's my queen. Ian must be regretting that gala now." Fatima laughed, the sound foreign yet freeing, a release amid the storm. They dissected the day, Marcus's unexpected support, the board's hesitant shift, the anonymous email from Emily Kline that promised more revelations. Each piece was a thread in her growing web, a strategy unfolding. "Meeting Emily tomorrow," Fatima said, her voice low with determination. "This isn't over. It's just beginning." Aisha toasted again. "You're slaying, girl. Build that army." As the city lights twinkled outside like watchful stars, Fatima felt the fire within her grow. Ian had played his hand in the open. Hers moved in the shadows, precise and unrelenting. Every calculated step brought her closer to justice, to the reclamation that would echo far beyond these walls. The chandelier lights of the downtown Los Angeles hotel ballroom glittered like a constellation of accusations, casting flickering shadows across the sea of reporters whose cameras flashed in relentless hunger. Fatima Okafor gripped the podium, her navy dress a deliberate shield of professionalism, far from the shattered wife the world anticipated. The boardroom victory still thrummed in her veins, a hard-won spark that had ignited this press conference. Her calculated pivot from scandal's victim to architect of change. Technova was founded on innovation and trust, she declared, her voice steady and resonant, cutting through the murmur like a clarion call. "Today, I'm announcing a new ethics council to ensure every employee feels safe and valued, free from the shadows that have plagued our industry." The room buzzed with scribbled notes and whispered speculations, but Fatima's focus was laser sharp. This wasn't about wallowing in gossip. It was about reclaiming the narrative, transforming Ian's betrayal into a rallying cry for reform. Social media was already ablaze with her takeover, outlets like BuzzFeed spinning the kiss cam fiasco into think pieces on Tech's toxic masculinity. She didn't crave the headlines. She hungered for the quiet revolutions they might inspire. As questions flew, will Ian Harrington resign? Is this retaliation for the kiss cam? A murmur rippled through the crowd like a gathering storm. Brooke Sinclair stepped forward uninvited, her blonde hair pulled tight in a severe bun, her face pale yet resolute under the harsh lights. Fatima froze, her pulse spiking like a live wire. Brooke, the woman whose lips had sealed her husband's deceit, now invading the stage. Cameras swiveled greedily, sensing drama's raw edge. "I need to speak," Brooke said, her voice trembling but clear, echoing through the microphones. Fatima nodded guardedly, stepping aside, instincts screaming caution amid the flashbulb frenzy. Brooke met her eyes, a flicker of remorse cutting through the tension. "I owe Fatima an apology. I thought Ian was separated. He lied to me. To everyone. I was wrong to trust him." She produced a stack of printed emails, her hands shaking as she held them aloft. "These show how he pressured me to keep our relationship secret," promising promotions if I stayed silent. The room erupted in chaos, reporters shouting over one another as Brooke continued, her voice cracking. I'm not proud of my choices, but I won't let him hide anymore. She handed the emails to Fatima, who accepted them with a steady hand, though her heart raced like a trapped bird. Flipping through the pages quickly, Fatima's mind spun. The messages were damning, Ian's words dripping with manipulation. You're my secret weapon, Brooke. Keep this between us, and you'll rise. Another, loyalty means everything. Stick with me, and you'll run this place. Brooke wasn't just the other woman. She was another casualty in Ian's orbit of control. The realization softened Fatima's anger, a subtle thaw amid the inferno, though it didn't erase the sting. Stepping back to the podium, she addressed the roaring crowd. Thank you, Brooke, she said firmly, her tone a blend of grace and steel. This is exactly why we need change. No one should feel silenced or manipulated. The reporters exploded anew, but Fatima's thoughts raced ahead to Emily Kline, the former employee whose anonymous tip had surfaced more horrors, and the meeting set for tomorrow. Her inbox had been overflowing with whispers from Technova women, stories of Ian's subtle pressures, promises laced with threats, a culture festering in silence. Back home, as the sun dipped low, painting the walls in golden hues, Fatima tucked Jamal into bed, his curls spilling across the pillow like a crown of innocence. Mom, is that lady sorry? He asked, clutching his favorite stuffed lion, eyes wide with the day's lingering questions. She smoothed his hair, forcing a gentle smile. She is, baby. Sometimes people make mistakes, but we learn and move forward. Jamal nodded, drifting off, but the weight of his trust pressed on her chest. Jalen was at a friend's house, giving her a rare moment of solitude to process. She opened Brooke's emails again, each line a fresh knife twist. No one can know, Brooke. You're essential to me. Her stomach churned. How many others had fallen into this trap? A text from Aisha lit up her phone. You were a rock star today. Brooke's bombshell? Wild. You okay? Fatima replied swiftly. Shocked, but it helps build the case. Meeting Emily tomorrow. Army's growing. Ian's done. Aisha's instant response. You're building an unstoppable force. Slay on, Queen. The next morning, under the soft haze of Silver Lake's cafe, Fatima met Emily Kline, a woman in her late 20s with nervous energy vibrating like a taut string. The aroma of fresh pastries clashed with the gravity of their words as Emily spoke in hushed tones, eyes darting. Ian made my life hell, she confessed, stirring her coffee endlessly. Late-night office calls, suggestions for drinks that implied my job hung in the balance. When I said no, he froze me out. Assignments dried up. Promotions passed me by. She slid a USB drive across the table, her hand lingering as if reluctant to release it. Old emails, memos. They show how he sidelined women who wouldn't play along. Fatima's fingers closed around the drive, a bond forming in the shared weight of betrayal. Why now? She asked softly. Emily's eyes glistened. Because you're fighting back. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Your courage gave me mine. Fatima promised to protect her identity, her mind already mapping the arsenal. Emily's evidence combined with Brooke's emails, a formidable cache to dismantle Ian from within. Not with a public spectacle, but precise incisions. Driving home, the city's pulse matched her own, social media buzzing with anonymous echoes of similar stories, a groundswell of voices rising. Purpose surged through her, but so did fear. A text from the twins flashed. School kids keep asking about Dad. It sucks. She replied, I know, buddies. We'll talk tonight. Love you both. Shielding them in this war was paramount, their innocence her North Star. At home, a note from Marcus slipped under her office door. Your vision for Technova is inspiring. I'm backing you, whatever you need. The words warmed her, a flicker of unexpected connection she pushed aside. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford yet. Opening her laptop, she drafted an email to the board. The audit must go deeper. Anonymized evidence attached. Our employees deserve justice. As sunset bathed the skyline in fiery challenge, Fatima stood at her window, the vast expanse a mirror to her resolve. Ian had built his empire on lies. She'd rebuild it on truth. For Emily, for Brooke, for her boys, and for the fierce woman emerging from the ashes. The tide was turning, and she was ready to ride its crest. The sleek glass walls of Technova's office thrummed with a nervous undercurrent, reflecting the fractured light of change as Fatima Okafor stood at the head of the crowded conference room, her posture an unyielding pillar amid the sea of expectant faces. Employees shifted in their seats, whispers rippling like waves before a storm. The audit, fueled by her relentless evidence and the raw courage of women like Emily and Brooke, had delivered its fatal blow. Ian Harrington was out, ousted in a board vote that echoed like a gavel's final strike. Now, with the weight of interim CEO settling on her shoulders, Fatima felt not triumphant elation, but the heavy mantle of responsibility, a forge where betrayal's ashes would be hammered into something stronger. Her heart pounded, a rhythmic reminder of the twins' faces, Jamal's quiet strength, Jalen's boundless energy, as she addressed the room, her voice resonating with quiet authority. "Technova is our home," she declared, eyes sweeping over the crowd. "And today we start fresh. New policies for a safe space, zero tolerance for misconduct, and an ethics framework that puts people first." Nods came tentatively, some laced with hope, others shadowed by skepticism. In the back, Derek, Ian's staunch CFO ally, sat with arms crossed, his scowl a silent dagger aimed at her resolve. The fallout cascaded like dominoes in the hours that followed. Forbes dropped a scathing expose on Ian's downfall, blaming his ethical lapses for the loss of a lucrative $10 million contract. The ink still fresh on the headlines as social media erupted with anonymous employee stories, tales of pressure tactics, whispered threats, a culture where ambition masked predation. Fatima's inbox overflowed, a torrent of support mingled with veiled warnings. "Watch your back. Derek's rallying the old guard." Her jaw tightened. Resistance was inevitable, a serpent coiling in the grass, but she wouldn't falter. Post-meeting, Marcus lingered in the doorway, his presence a steady anchor amid the dispersing crowd. "You're rewriting the rulebook," he said, his voice warm with admiration, eyes holding hers with an intensity that stirred something deep within. A flicker of connection she hadn't sought, but couldn't entirely dismiss. "It's not just business. It's personal, and you're handling it with grace." She brushed it aside with a nod, keeping her tone professional. "It's for all of us." He handed her a coffee, their fingers brushing in a moment of electric warmth. "You've got my vote, Fatima. Always." Work demanded precedence, but his quiet pride lingered like a promise unspoken. In her new office, Ian's former domain, stripped of his personal touches, she sifted through Emily's USB drive, the memos leaping out like ghosts, restructurings that had diluted her role years ago, sidelining her influence to consolidate his power. The betrayal stung anew, a fresh wound fueling her fire. She drafted policies with fierce precision, an anonymous reporting channel to amplify silenced voices, mandatory ethics training to uproot toxicity, and a diverse hiring board to ensure equity. Emailing them to the leadership team, she braced for backlash. Derek would fight tooth and nail. Let him try. The evidence of his complicity in hiding Ian's secret accounts burned in her files like ammunition. Home pressed harder now. The dual life of CEO and mother, a tightrope walked over an abyss. The twins had grown quieter, their usual chatter subdued by the whispers of scandal seeping into their world. Over dinner, Jamal pushed his pasta around his plate, his small voice breaking the silence. "Kids at school won't stop talking about Dad. It sucks." Fatima reached for his hand, her heart aching like a bruise. "I know it's tough, buddy, but we're building something better for you and Jalen." He nodded, eyes distant, while Jalen chattered about his latest drawing. "Mom is a superhero, saving the day." Her heart swelled, mingled with guilt. Was she strong enough to shield them from this tempest? Later, Aisha arrived bearing wine and unshakable loyalty, her presence a balm in the dimly lit living room. "You're a legend," she said, raising a glass with fierce pride. "Ian's toast, and you're running the show. Technova's phoenix rising." Fatima sighed, swirling her drink, the day's weight pressing down. It's not over. Derek's plotting, and I'm still learning to lead while keeping the boys from unraveling. Aisha leaned in, eyes sparkling with mischief and support. You're doing it, girl, and you're not alone. She paused, smirking. That Marcus guy, he's into you. I saw it in the boardroom, all hard eyes and admiration. Fatima laughed, shaking her head. Not now, Aisha. He's just supportive. I can't think about that. But Marcus's steady gaze lingered in her thoughts, a subtle warmth amid the chill of reconstruction. The next day dawned with renewed battles. In the boardroom once more, Fatima presented the irrefutable evidence of Derek's role in the financial cover-ups, sliding bank statements across the table like indictments. He knew about the secret accounts, enabled the deception. The vote to suspend him was swift, his protests, a venomous storm of denials, drowned out by the proof's unassailable weight. As he stormed out, hissing, "You'll regret this," Fatima held his gaze, her voice low and unyielding. "I'm just getting started." Marcus caught her in the hallway afterward, his expression grave yet supportive. "Derek's not the only one. Ian's loyalists are still here. Be careful." She nodded, grateful for the warning, her guard firm. "I've got this." His smile flashed pride. "I know you do." That night, as shadows lengthened across the house, Fatima read bedtime stories to the twins, Jalen's laughter a fleeting joy amid the heaviness. Jamal's question cut through like a blade. "Is Dad ever coming back?" Her throat tightened, but she answered softly, pulling him close. "He'll always be your dad, but right now it's us three, and we're enough." He hugged her tightly, his silence weighted with trust she vowed not to break. Alone in her study, she opened her laptop, drafting a press release about Technova's new direction under her helm. Thoughts drifted to Emily and Brooke, the women whose bravery had bolstered her own. This wasn't merely about Ian's fall, it was about elevating others, forging a legacy from the ruins. She added a line with defiant clarity. Technova stands for integrity, starting now. Hitting send, the city's lights glowed outside like vigilant sentinels. Derek's threat echoed faintly, but fear had no hold. She'd toppled Ian's throne and would face whatever serpents slithered next with the same unquenchable fire. Rebuilding wasn't without scars, but in each policy enacted, each voice amplified, Fatima glimpsed the empire rising anew, stronger, truer, hers. The jasmine-scented breeze wafted through the open windows of Fatima Okafor's new Culver City apartment, carrying whispers of renewal as she unpacked the final box in the modest two-bedroom haven that symbolized her fresh start. Laughter echoed from the living room, Jamal and Jalen, her twin anchors, battling over a board game with the fierce joy only 8-year-olds could muster, their curly heads bent in concentration. It was a fragile tether to normalcy amid the whirlwind of days, leading Technova by dawn's light, shielding her sons from the lingering scandal's shadows by dusk. Media tides had shifted, praise now flooding in for her bold reforms. A Fast Company article dubbing her the woman reshaping tech's future, a beacon of resilience in a sea of scrutiny. Yet Fatima felt no heroic glow. She was a mother clawing back wholeness, a leader reclaiming a legacy pilfered from her grasp. Her phone buzzed with an invite to a prestigious women's leadership conference, a platform to speak on empowerment. She accepted, her heart racing with a mix of trepidation and resolve. Sharing her scars might inspire, turning personal wounds into communal strength. The weight of her choices pressed heavier now, the twins' silences stretching longer, their questions sharper like hidden thorns. They deserved a mother standing tall, unbowed by Ian's treachery, not one perpetually shadowed by doubt. On the conference stage, under glaring spotlights that mirrored the kiss cam's cruel glare, Fatima's voice rang clear and commanding. "I didn't choose this fight," she said, eyes scanning the rapt audience. "But when trust shatters, we rebuild stronger, brick by brick, voice by voice." She spoke of the Ethics Council, the anonymous reporting lines, the women who'd found courage in her stand. Applause thundered like validation, but her mind drifted to a bittersweet memory. Her and Ian in that cramped apartment, fingers flying over keyboards, dreaming of a company that would revolutionize lives. He'd changed hers, all right, twisting dreams into nightmares. Afterward, Marcus approached, his suit impeccable, yet his smile soft, handing her a water bottle with quiet care. "You were incredible up there," he murmured, eyes crinkling with genuine awe. "You're not just saving Technova, you're inspiring a movement." Warmth bloomed out his words, a subtle flicker she hadn't anticipated. Connection, perhaps, in a world starved of trust. "Thanks," she replied cautiously, "but I'm still figuring this out." He nodded, respecting her space. "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." The promise hung like a gentle thread, but she turned away, focusing on the path ahead, unready to weave new bonds. Back at Technova, an email from Emily Kline awaited, attached with a doctored contract from years past. Ian had altered clauses to erode her voting rights as co-founder, a calculated erasure. "He wanted me out," she whispered to the empty office, the betrayal a fresh laceration amid healing scars. Forwarding it to the board with blunt precision, "This ends any lingering claim Ian has." She felt a pang of loss, not for the man he'd become, but for the shared vision corrupted. It was the final blow, severing his ties irrevocably. Home called her back to anchor points, a family movie night on the couch. Pixar animations lighting up the room with color and whimsy. Jalen giggled at the screen's antics, while Jamal leaned into her side, his warmth a balm. "Mom, you're at work a lot now," he said quietly during a lull, his voice small yet probing. Her heart sank like an anchor in deep waters. "I know, buddy," she murmured, ruffling his hair. "But it's for us, for a better future." He nodded, but his eyes searched hers. "Are you happy?" The question caught her off guard, a mirror to her soul. She thought of the conference ovation, the women thanking her in hushed tones, the company she was reshaping from rot to renewal. "I'm getting there," she answered honestly, pulling him closer. Aisha dropped by later, bearing coffee and her trademark fierce loyalty, the aroma mingling with the evening's lingering popcorn scent. "You're killing it, Fatima," she said, pouring steaming cups. "The internet's crowning you queen, posts everywhere about your reforms." Fatima laughed, a sound laced with exhaustion and emerging light. "It's not about me, it's Emily, Brooke, all the women Ian silenced." Aisha smirked, eyes twinkling. "Still, that Marcus guy's got it bad. I saw him at the conference, all hard eyes and chivalry." Fatima rolled her eyes, cheeks warming unexpectedly. "He's just supportive. I'm not ready for anything like that." But as Aisha teased gently, Fatima's mind wandered to Marcus's steady presence, his quiet respect, a spark that warmed her in ways she hadn't expected, a horizon hinting at possibilities beyond survival. The next day brought Technova's inaugural Family Day, a bold initiative under her leadership. Employees invited with their kids to the office, transforming glass halls into playgrounds of potential. Jalen dashed through with a makeshift superhero cape flapping, his laughter infectious, while Jamal shyly joined a coding workshop, his fingers tentative on the keys, echoes of her own early passions. Employees approached with gratitude, some sharing hushed stories of past pressures, their voices freed by her changes. Fatima listened intently, resolve deepening. This was her company now, a sanctuary where trust could flourish anew, roots delving deep into reform soil. That night, in the quiet glow of her desk lamp, Fatima drafted a blog post for Technova's site. "From betrayal to renewal, our shared journey." She wrote not as a scorned wife, but as a leader reclaiming her voice, words flowing raw and powerful. Posting it live, comments flooded in, women from across the globe sharing battles won and lost. One stood out. "You gave me the courage to speak up." Tears pricked her eyes, not of sorrow, but strength, a cathartic release. Jalen's crayon drawing caught her gaze, taped to the wall. Her, the twins under a vibrant sun labeled "My Family." She traced the lines, heart swelling with fullness. She wasn't whole yet, but healing's horizon beckoned. Marcus's note from the conference sat nearby. "You're unstoppable." She smiled, tucking it away like a secret talisman. The road ahead was hers to pave, for her boys, her company, herself. From the ashes of old wounds, Fatima was rising, horizons expanding like dawn's first light, promising worlds rebuilt and dreams reclaimed. The sterile glow of the lawyer's office sliced through the haze of Fatima Okafor's thoughts like a beam of unforgiving light, illuminating the conference table where a single document lay. A crisp stack of divorce papers, their edges sharp as the final rebuke to a decade of shattered vows. Across from her sat Ian Harrington, once the magnetic force who'd swept her into a whirlwind of shared dreams and late-night ambitions. Now a haggard shell, his posture slumped under the weight of his downfall. The room felt suspended in time, Los Angeles pulsing vibrantly outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, indifferent to the quiet reckoning within. Ian leaned forward, his voice a low plea laced with desperation, eyes pleading like a man grasping at fading smoke. "Fatima, we can fix this. I've lost everything. Technova, my reputation, the life we built. I know I screwed up, but for Jamal and Jalen, give me another chance. Please." His words hung heavy, echoing the ghost of the man she loved, but they rang hollow now, tainted by the memory of that kiss, betrayal, broadcast to the world while her sons pointed innocently at the mall screen. Fatima's fingers tightened around her pen, the cool metal grounding her amid the emotional torrent. The flash of Ian's lips on Brooks replayed in her mind. The crowd's cheers a cruel soundtrack to her humiliation. She'd felt it in her bones, the fracture of trust that had propelled her into this odyssey of reclamation. "You made your choice," she replied, her voice calm and unyielding, a steel forged in the fires of countless sleepless nights. "You kissed her in front of thousands, turning our private pain into public spectacle. Now I'm choosing to walk away, before millions more witness my strength." She signed the papers with a bold flourish, the ink flowing like liberation, his breath hitching as she slid them across the table. "This isn't revenge, Ian. It's me embracing my truth." Rising, she left him there, the echo of her heels on the marble floor, a definitive punctuation to their shared history. The lawyer's perfunctory nod faded behind her as she stepped into the hallway, a profound weight lifting from her shoulders like dawn dispelling night. The city's hum greeted her, a symphony of possibility, the life she was meticulously rebuilding. Technova thrived under her steadfast leadership, its new policies a beacon cutting through the industry's murk, earning widespread acclaim that transformed scandal into saga. Fast Company's cover story hailed her as a tech trailblazer, her inbox brimming with speaking invitations, including a global women's leadership conference where she'd share her journey not as a victim, but a victor. She accepted, ready to weave her scars into inspiration, proving betrayal could birth unbreakable resolve. Home in Culver City felt like a sanctuary reborn. She tucked Jalen into bed that evening, his curls a soft cascade on the pillow, his eyes sparkling with childlike wonder. "Mom, you're like a queen now," he murmured, voice sleepy yet sincere. Fatima laughed, a genuine ripple of joy, kissing his forehead. "Just doing my best, baby." Jamal lingered in the doorway, his teenage stoicism softening at the edges. "You're doing great, Mom," he said quietly, stepping into her embrace. Her heart swelled, their strength mirroring her own. She'd shielded them from the storm's worst gales, nurturing their trust like fragile flames. The next day unfolded in Griffith Park's sun-dappled expanse, a picnic under an ancient oak where the LA skyline shimmered like a distant promise. They spread a blanket, Jalen chasing butterflies with gleeful abandon, Jamal tossing a frisbee with newfound ease. It was a snapshot of wholeness, just the three of them, resilient and complete, the air alive with their laughter and the scent of fresh sandwiches. Fatima's phone buzzed with a social media alert. Fatima Okafor's Technova sets ethical standards in tech. She smiled, pocketing it. The world's praise paled beside her son's joy. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges, Marcus appeared unexpectedly, a bouquet of sunflowers in hand, their golden petals vibrant against the fading light. "Thought you might need a little color after everything," he said, his smile warm and unintrusive, eyes holding a quiet depth that stirred her guarded heart. She took the flowers, their brightness a subtle joy blooming within. "Thanks, Marcus, for everything." He nodded, joining Jamal in the frisbee game, giving her space to breathe. Watching him, a spark of possibility flickered. His steady respect, his unwavering support hinting at horizons beyond solitude. Yet she wasn't ready. She was still learning to love the woman she'd become, fierce and unapologetic. Evening settled like a soft veil. Fatima at her desk with Jalen's drawing taped to the wall. A crayon masterpiece of her and the twins under a radiant sun, labeled My Family. It grounded her as she drafted her conference speech, words pouring forth raw and potent. Betrayal broke me, but truth rebuilt me. We don't just survive, we rise, forging legacies from the fragments. The narrative flowed, a testament to her odyssey, thoughts drifting to Emily's courage sparking a movement, Brooke's redemption in honesty, the women at Technova now voicing truths long suppressed. Her fight had rippled outward, reshaping not just a company, but lives entangled in its web. A final email arrived from the board. Ian's last ties severed, his shares redistributed. A clean break, the empire fully hers. She closed the laptop, eyes lingering on the drawing, the three figures under that sun, enough to fill her world. Stepping onto the balcony, the city's light stretched before her like a glittering canvas of endless potential. The night air whispered secrets, cool against her skin, as she leaned on the railing, gazing at the horizon. She'd faced the world's judgmental gaze and emerged forged anew, stronger, wiser, a force of quiet revolution. Ian's empire, built on deceptions, had crumbled under her purpose. In its place rose something enduring, for Jamal and Jalen's futures, for every woman silenced by power's abuse. We did it, she murmured to the stars, the words of vow fulfilled. In the enveloping quiet, she felt it profoundly, the victory of truth, the boundless power of her own heart. Fatima's story didn't end with a signature or a boardroom conquest. It blossomed anew under the Los Angeles sky, a path forged for her children, her company, herself. Resilience etched in every step, a beacon for those betrayed and broken, proving that from shattered trust springs the might to rebuild empires. As the lights burned bright below, so did her legacy, a radiant reminder that we all harbor the power to rise, to heal, to claim horizons untold. As Fatima's journey reminds us, betrayal can shatter worlds, but resilience rebuilds them stronger, proving that every silenced voice holds the power to echo change. What do you think? Would you fight back like Fatima or handle betrayal differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and insights. Thank you for tuning in and joining this empowering tale. Your support means everything. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. Hit that like button if it resonated, and we'll catch up in the next video. Until then, keep rising.